See? You don't really want to be here. You don't. You just think you do. Okay, no face looking. This is Easy, better known as Granny, our temporary co-host until she gets bored of me, or I get tired of her chilling on my lap while I try and record. She's not feeling like laying down today, so we may have her up here a lot. My name is Echo, and I will be your host. This is a nitty, nerdy, sweary fanfic and knitting podcast with a fanfic at the end and the knitting at the front so that you can find the parts that suit you or watch the whole thing if both do. It is June 22nd and I am going to try to record and upload all in one day because I've spent 3 or 4 days trying to get around to recording and it has not been happening. I would like to welcome back my return viewers, say hello to anybody who's new and brave and came to check me out. I appreciate you all. And let you know that if you would like to find me on the internet, you can find me as The Knitted Bean on Instagram and Ravelry. You can email me at knittedbean@gmail.com, or you can watch me here on YouTube. So, like I said, I have been trying to record for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's Tuesday, so 5 days. And it just has not been happening. We had some family obligations, and then I had a lot of adulting to do. And my husband is off of school because he's a teacher, so he's out for the summer, and that makes recording really hard because I do not like to record when he is in the house. Partly because he likes to stop by and check out and see how I'm doing and, oh, are you done yet? And this and that and the other. And also partly just because I'd rather talk into the void while there's nobody else around to hear me when I mess up. Because I can edit it out if I mess up. But if he's here, then he gets to hear it all. So, he has been banished to the bedroom. He's gonna take a nice long nap and then watch some Netflix until I let him know that it is safe to come out. Me and the dogs have locked ourselves in the podcasting room and we're on take 6 or 7 because Granny wanted to be on my lap and then Granny didn't want to be on my lap and then Granny wanted to lick her paws, and that is a really annoying noise in the microphone. So we kept starting over. It's pretty hot here in the low 80s, I would say, but not as hot as it was last week when we were 107, which is about 42 Celsius. So now we're a little closer to high 20s, low 30s. But it has been continuously sunny. So I'm very thankful for my air conditioning in here. Since it is nearing the end of June, we are almost at the end of the inclusionKAL. If you want to sneak in and add anything on Instagram that is inclusive to size, sexuality, gender presentation, autism, mental health, BIPOC, any of those things, now is the time to do it. It just has to be started after May 5th or 4th. And be inclusive of something like that. You don't have to have finished it. You just need to tag it, have it started after that date, and you'll be entered in a drawing for a prize. I have 2 prizes, one for finish object and one for a work in progress. Currently there's only 1 entry, so at least someone is guaranteed a prize if nobody else enters. I will be closing that on June 30th. And then announcing the winners on the podcast after that, which will be on July 6th. If you want to enter and you're not on Instagram, you can go ahead and email me the info and the picture at knittedbean@gmail.com. apologize. I had quite the coughing fit while I was recording the intro with Izzy, and it doesn't seem to want to go away. That's just a problem for me and my lungs. They do that a lot. So if you hear me clearing my throat, I'll try and cut most of them out. I am drinking out of my What the Fuckulent mug, which is from Crafty Cat Mugs. She's on on Etsy, and I am in love with the mugs there. There's so many good ones. Snarky Sweary or Snarky Not Sweary. Various professions, various, you know, mom, dad, grandpa, holiday, lovey-dovey, lovey snarky, you name it, she's got it. And I highly recommend those mugs. They're like, you can order, this is the 15 ounce size, or you can order the regular 11 ounce size. The 15 ounce size is perfect. And they're just so high quality. They're printed on both sides, and they look great. I'm actually drinking cold coffee out of it, like iced coffee, because as I said, it's really hot out, and I got some cold brew coffee concentrate at Costco, so I've been able to make some iced lattes with almond milk, which is really nice. Trying to think if there is anything else we need other than to get Granny to quit licking her paws. No paw licking. Go sleep. Go sleep. Good girl. Lugs is asleep. Granny's like, don't tell me what to do. I'll lick my paws if I want to. So that we don't want to hear it. So, I hope that you've all been well over the last 2 weeks. I did not record a short episode. I just didn't really have much going on to speak of. So, say la vie. However, I did do a ton of knitting. So if we jump right into the FOs, I have a couple of sweaters, a couple baby sweaters, a baby hat. The first one that I've got is called the Oslo, and it is it's not traditional stranded color work, it's mosaic knitting with a button band, and it was bottom up, which this is the first time I've done a bottom up. I actually didn't mind it. I thought I would mind it more. I will say it was a little hard to like attach the sleeves without stretching out the underarm stitches, although I did end up doing it fine. I think it would have been easier if I had just gone ahead and put the whole thing on like my 50-inch cable and done it magic loop style, but I had it on just the right size, and it made going around those first few corners really hard. And it said in the pattern that the first few corners would be difficult, but it all worked out in the end. What I did love is, typically I'm not a big fan of sleeve island, but when you knit the sleeves separately first and then attach them, it's just like knitting socks. They're so small, they just sit and turn around and around and around in your lap, and that was really nice, and I would probably love to do adult sleeves that way. This was Lion brand Heartland. It's just the Hotsprings colorway. I really like this yarn. It's 100% acrylic, but it's really soft, and I just really like this color. They have other colors of it, which I was just not that big of a fan of, but the purple I'm really attached to. I would even make myself a sweater out of it. And then the yarn underneath it is also Lion brand, but it's just one of those Lion brand mandala sparkle. So it does have some glitter to it. And I just started at the pink and I let it go up. I did wind off enough to make the sleeves matching. I ran out though right here, and so I had to finish it off with more pink. I wanted some color transitions through the purple, so I took off a large chunk of the pink, and then I started so that there would only be so many rows of the pink, and then went up, and then in the end I was about 12 rows short of being able to take the blue-green all the way up. A little faded through in there, not much, one row. And I got some cool buttons on it, which I don't even remember where I got. They're like little pansies though, which I put on with some green embroidery floss, which it still looks fine, it all matches, but I was a little bummed. Oh, I wish I had gone all the way. So this was the Baby Oslo. It was a free pattern, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, free pattern by Kitty Winks Knits on Ravelry. And it only comes in one size, which is a 0 to 3 months. I would say it's more solidly on the 3-month size. I have a 0 to 3 sweater that I knit before this that is closer to the newborn to 3 size, and you can see the difference in that there's about an inch difference here, there's about an inch difference in the length of the sleeves, and so on and so forth. So it's definitely just slightly bigger on that. I did go ahead and put in a machine sew in a tag with the size, and this is all going to somebody to give out as baby gifts, because everybody I know is past having baby age. Their babies are all grown. Next up is the one that you saw I had started last time, the thing that everybody makes, which is a toddler flax. I made the 2 to 4-year-old size. I did do the short row shaping, even though it does say that you don't need to do the short row shaping for a children's, that it makes it reversible if you don't, which it does. But I just think it makes it look a little bit more polished, and by the time you hit that 3 to 4 age range, you know, polished looks cute. So again, I used that same yarn, the Lion brand, Heartland Hotsprings colorway. I'm very fond of it. It's exceptionally soft. It has a really good drape, and I just like that purple. It's so light and dark and bright and dark. And it's completely washable for kids' clothes. So acrylic is the way to go as far as I'm concerned for that. It's a free pattern. All of the Tin Can Knits Simple Collection patterns are free to go with it. I made a matching Barley hat out of the same yarn. I debated quite a bit on what size to make it, because they had baby, toddler, and child, and I could not decide if child would fit a 3 to 4-year-old or if toddler would fit a 3 to 4-year-old, and there was no indication on the pattern or anywhere in there. So in the end, what I ended up doing was going on to individual projects on the Ravelry pages and looking at what size people made, and then looking at the pictures of the children that they were showing it on and kind of gauging their ages. And it seemed to me that the children's sizes were mostly going on like 7, 8, 9-ish in there, and toddlers were easily fitting on 2 and 3. So I figured 4 wasn't too much of a stretch. So we have the matching hat that should fit with the sweater. Again, a free pattern. And again, out of that Heartland Lion brand yarn. Those are my 3 FOs. I'm all over the baby nets right now because I'm making them for someone to give away as a gift. And they have a bit of a deadline because that baby will be born. I did not get any further on my Victor socks, even though they're almost done. Because I was working on all these baby knits, and I know I'm a fast sock knitter, so I'm not terribly worried about it. The only socks that I worked on were my curling mist socks, and I worked on those while over at dinner. And I put not a ton on. I hadn't started the cabling in the back previously, and now I've put the cabling in the back on. So, I mean, we're talking half an inch at most. No, knitting during dinner conversation and post-dinner conversation, not a whole lot. Cabling without a needle during post-dinner conversation. Those are still living in my highly inappropriate Nerds with Vaginas bag, which I love. Curling Mist socks are by Helen Stewart of the Curious Handmaid. They're part of the Handmade Sock Society #4. They were the first pattern released out of that, I believe. And I'm making them out of Mountain Colors Twizzlefoot in the Harmony Forest colorway. And then the heel is also Twizzlefoot, but I have no idea what the colorway is because it's like 5 years old. And I can't remember, and I didn't save the tag. It's a leftover from a shawl that I made. It's cool yarn because it's a merino, virgin wool, silk nylon blend, and it's just really nice. It's thin but still warm. So I am looking forward to getting those done. Do I need to be working on them? Absolutely not. They're not one of the 3 pairs of socks that I need to get done in the next 25 days. But I'm working on them anyway because they're a simple pattern and I already have them going, and so if I'm like headed out the door to go to dinner, that's a good thing to take. But definitely not what I need to be working on. I need to be working on my venture socks, and then I need to get my summer lace socks cast on, and I need to get some kind of tree pattern cast on for my other ones. Because I'm officially behind in Sock Squad. The other work in progress that I have going is living in my yarn bowl, which I don't think I've ever shown on here before. It typically lives by my chair out in the living room, and whatever current project I'm working on sits in it and I pull out of it. It is not anything you can buy. I've mentioned my husband is an art teacher. So he made me a yarn bowl for Christmas about 5 or 6 years ago. And it is designed to hold up to 1 main skein and 2 mini skeins of yarn, where you can put the main and the mini and have it all pull out the separate sides and not tangle. It is the most amazing thing. It weighs a small chunk, but it's pretty awesome and I love it. So what I've got going in there looks like nothing, really. It's just a patterned thing with a tapered end. Looks like a ribbon. But that's really essentially what it is. It is a top knot that goes around your head and ties in a bow in the front. I will put a picture up here of what it looks like. And I am making it in the baby size out of that same Lion Brand yarn that is apparently supporting this entire podcast right now. For the same baby to go with that Oslo. I thought it would be really cute. I also thought it would be really quick because it just doesn't take much yarn. It's just whatever, 19 inches long and tie. It's knit flat though, and I didn't really think about that. Knitting flat is not the fastest thing. I mean, it's not entirely slow either, but if I knit that in the round, it would already be done. Should just knit a Mobius strip. That is called the Annie Top Knot. It is sealed by a Chris Designs with K. The pattern was $3.50. It's exceptionally easy. If you're looking to learn how to knit and you know how to knit, purl, knit front and back, And I'm gonna assume that somewhere later there's some decreases. I don't know what kind they are. But if you know how to do those things and you're looking to knit and you want to knit flat, it's a really good one. It's just a bunch of flat knitting. You do your increases and then you knit in pattern for X amount of time, and then you do your decreases. You bind it off, you put it on your head, and you tie it in a knot, and it looks very like Rosie the Riveter style. It's super cute. So it's a cool starter pattern for sure. Definitely worth the $3.50, even though it's something that, I mean, a lot of us could like come up with it on our own. Like I wouldn't. So I'm happy to pay somebody else to come up with it. All right, so moving into acquisitions. I did acquire a bunch of clearance acrylic and cotton from the craft store. I'm not going to show it off on here because I typically don't knit with it, but when it's on sale for $1.50 or $2 a skein, I'm gonna pick it up so that when I need to do baby knits or washcloths, I have it. And I just assume that it will get shown to you as I bring those projects out, and I'm like, oh, look, I made a new baby sweater. I did this, and I'll tell you what it is, but I'm not gonna go through like all 10 skeins of it because why? I got the Ex Libris Fibers Ghastly collection for June, which I'm pretty sure will be the last one. It was a book/yarn club for the first half of 2021 based off of gothic horror novels, which I'm a really big fan of gothic horror novels. The book that this was based off of was The House of Seven Gables. And so this was the colorway that I got. It is like an olive green with some darker green, blue, and red in there. I got it on the Ursula base, which is a yak sock blend, 70 superwash merino, 20 yak, 10 nylon, the typical. It came with that cute little progress keeper, very booky, and a very nice smelling candle, just a little tea light candle, which I can totally appreciate. I love candles. I love good smelling candles. And I have some little ceramic dishes that you put tea lights in and it casts the light in a certain way. So that will be very nice. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with this. Possibly socks, possibly not though. I actually have some singles that I really think it would look good with. Even though this is not singles. I'm kind of a bit of a big fan of the three of these things going on here. They're all three different dyers, but they all three have red, green, and some form of gray or beige going on in it. So even though this one isn't singles, I might do something with the three of them. The other two, one is Ditastic and Das Mannschaft. So it's entirely possible that I will mix it up that way. Then the other things that I got are not yarny, amazingly. I have some more yarny things that are on my way in the mail. You'll see them next time. Or in the case of one of them, possibly the time after that. But I mentioned I went and spent some time with family. We went to a very nice plant shop, and I was able to get a peperomia, I'm not very good at saying that word, and an awesome little pot for it to go into. And I had to laugh as I bought the pot because I was like, I should not spend $4 on the pot because my husband could totally just make me the pot if I asked him to. Except for I never ask, so I never get it. And an amazing little aluminum plant. Sorry, my hands are very shaky. Let's see if I can hold still. There we go. In another really cool little pot that I was again like, do I spend $3 on that? So the podcast room now has some plants. Not quite as many plants as I had out before, but it's a start. And then when we went over to a relative of my husband's for dinner on Sunday, she had a bunch of houseplants that she was getting rid of because she's replacing them all with fake plants. It's just too much work to take care of them, etc. And so I had to rehome 2 snake plants, which my other snake plant wasn't behind me, it's someplace else in the house. So now I have 2 snake plants that are currently living down here below the window until I might get a plant stand for them to sit on so that they're a little higher up. And I will try and get some footage of those to put in here and show you those where they now live. So I acquired 5 plants in like 5 days. The 5th plant that I acquired was a monstera that was like half dead. And she was like, it's dead, you can have the pot. And I'm like, I think I can save that. So I brought that home. It's big like a monstera is. And I clipped off all the dead, which was about half of it, and put it out on my kitchen table by the bright sunny light. And it's slowly uncurling new leaves and it's like, yay. It was outside. They don't do well outside in Montana. So hopefully it survives well and starts to flourish. If it doesn't, I'm gonna go ahead and do a cutting off of it because it does have some healthy shoots, and then I will repot the cutting and find a new place for it. I definitely have to get a plant stand for that because right now it's up on the kitchen table because those are toxic to dogs, and I do have the little dogs, so I don't want it anywhere near the floor. Not that they eat plants, they don't. My snake plants are on the floor and they don't touch them, but I'd just rather not have an accidental dog poisoning, thank you very much. So I acquired a whole lot of plants in a very short days. So other little tidbits that I wanted to talk about were in my travels across YouTube, watching knitting podcasts and whatnot, I came across a video that was really helpful. Normally I watch podcasts and things like that, and I wouldn't say that I like find them shockingly transformative in any way. I just am like, ooh, cool, nice ideas, this, that, like it exposes me to new patterns, new colors, new dyers, things like that, which I really love. But I'm never like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know that. And I watched 10 knitting tips that make you a better knitter by Nimble Needles, which there are infinite number of videos out there that say that, and they say things like always gauge swatch, or make sure when you're substituting yarn that you are using the same fiber content or it has the same kind of drape, or know that if you knit with wooden needles it'll make your knitting tighter, or whatever, things like that. This one though was amazing. So, when you cast something on, you always have like a little bit of a bump on that cast on edge where you cast it on. That's my bump. It's pretty freaking small, all things considered. If I were to pull out something from before I watched this, so if I pull out something from before I watched this, there's quite a bit more noticeable of a bump. Not a ton, I guess, but noticeable to me. Nor my husband's very well-used hat. Nimble Needles talks about how to cast on without using a slip knot so that you don't have as much of a bump on your cast on edge. Works in better. It talks about how to, when you bind off that last stitch, how to prevent the little jag that you get with the last stitch, about if you had ladders when you're knitting on double pointed needles, ways to completely obliterate those, which is a question that I've seen come up on multiple other podcasts that are like, you know, these people make lots and lots of socks, and they're like, yeah, you know, you could just maybe not knit on double point needles. Instead, Nimble Needles is like, you know, you can actually knit on double point needles, and even if you know you have ladders, you can do this move and it will get rid of your ladders. This is how you can tighten up a stitch. Things like that, that just literal like tips and tricks that I've never come across as a knitter, but significantly improve your knitting. And I'm like, immediately, next cast on, I'm not casting on with a slip knot anymore. I'm not having a jag where I bind off on whatever I bind off on. You know, I bound off on the bottom of my sweater and it's right here. That's where my bound off edge rolled into my regular edge, and it's just not even noticeable. Better ways to weave in your ends so that you are not as likely to come undone. You know, weaving them in with a sharp tip needle instead of a blunt tip needle. I'm not going to go over them all because there's 10 of them, and I think you should go watch the video and find them out. But I don't consider myself a new knitter by any means, and I was like, these are shocking, these are amazing. I didn't know these tips were a thing, and now I do, and I'm going to use every single one of them except for the double point one because I don't have ladders on double point needles and I rarely knit on them anyway, so I don't need that one. But everything else I was like, this is amazing. So the channel is called Nimble Needles and the video is called 10 knitting tips that make you a better knitter. Not faster, just better, look nicer, have better finishing. I will definitely link that down below, as with everything else, like I always do. So moving on to fandom, I have a rec this week that is absolutely 110% smutty. It's what we would call PWP, porn without plot. So if that is not your variety of fan fiction, this one is not going to be for you. I will just give you a warning. Heads up straight out of the gate. It is from the Witcher fandom, and it is by One of Webs, and it was for the Witcher Rare Pair Summer Bingo, which if you don't know what a bingo is, it's when moderators put together a literal bingo card with prompts on it, and writers write, fix, or create artworks or whatever to like stamp out each prompt, either to get a bingo or to get a blackout or whatever. And so this was just we put together cards. It's fun, it's a community building event. You submit the works and post them and let us know, and then we will advertise them for you on all the platforms that the particular Rare Pair Summer Bingo was running on. And then it has its rules. It's called the Rare Pair Summer Bingo. So the pairing that you choose needs to be a uncommon pairing. And the pairing needs to be the focus of the story along with the prompt. So their prompt was massage, so they just named their story prompt massage. They didn't give it any special name. And it is on an archive of our own. I will link it down. The pairing that they chose for that prompt was Lambert Escol, and it is the 4,000-ish word one shot. Like I said, it's just straight up smut, nothing else. But I thought it was really good in that it had some really good smutty descriptions and some you can write smut that is just nothing but smut, and there's no reason for the smut to happen, and that is generally not super interesting to me. Or you can write smut with just a tiny bit of premise as to why the smut happens, even if you never tell the readers why. If you as an author know why, it comes through in the story, and the story is better. And this is one of those. You know, literally in their synopsis it says something like, you know, Eskel is uptight because Geralt isn't home yet. That's enough setup. That's all I needed. I just needed to know that that's where the author was coming from, and so then that's where the character that they're writing is coming from, and it makes the reading of it a lot better and a lot clearer and a lot smoother. It gives them a point to focus on as they write it, and it makes their writing a lot more intentional, as opposed to just putting dirty words on paper that don't really come off as anything in particular. It is definitely E-rated. Like I said, it's just 4,000 words worth of smut, but it's good smut, so go check it out. I will definitely link that below. That is all I have for you today. Hopefully in 2 weeks, I have a few more baby knits and a whole lot of socks. We'll see. Somebody woke up. Can we say hi, Legs? I have some very needy dogs today. Legs wants to appear, apparently. In the meantime, Legs is tired and she would like me to get off the camera. So I'm going to go. I hope you stay safe, keep yourself happy, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, or night, depending on what time zone you're in. And if you get the chance and you're all vaccinated, go visit some family. It'll feel weird, but you'll thank yourself later. It's been over a year. Can we go? I know you're so tired, huh? I'm so tired. Oh, so tired. Okay. Okay, we're gonna sit you down. It is January. It is July 22nd. Okay, let's try this again. Take number 5. No coffee for Granny. No coffee for Granny. Caffeine is bad for old ladies.